Holy motherfucking shitballs. It has been a long, long time since I've talked to you, people of the world, anytime, and I've missed you. I wrote that song for you, and I hope you loved it, because it's basically a Grammy winner waiting to happen. Later, I'll spend about 63 seconds trying to make music for it, and then I will put it out into the world, and maybe on TikTok, and then I'll become internet famous, and then the bitches and hoes will come a-running, and you'll never see me again, probably because I'll be dead. So, that's my update. It's almost 6:45 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time on Monday, April the 26th, in the year of our Lord, 2021. I've missed you. I really have. It's been almost a month, 3 days shy of a month since my last podcast episode uploaded. And for that, I'm really, 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 really sorry. And I said that the last time I uploaded. And I was really, really, really sorry then. And the time before that, in which it's still been a little bit of a break, maybe 2 weeks, something like that, and I was really, really, really sorry then. However, I meant it each time, and I mean it this time. The cycle of abuse will continue, probably. Maybe not. I am determined to not let this happen. And I won't make excuses for myself. I've been horribly fucking busy, not gonna lie. And I had intended on the very brief breaks during which I was home to try and record, but I was in a mindset that was not conducive to talking about things in a positive fashion. And I figured those of you who listen to this, for whatever reasons that you do listen to it, for which I do thank you for listening to it, probably don't need to hear me just get on here and bitch and whine about how busy I am and, oh my God, my customer's so bitchy. Oh God, why me, blah, blah, blah. And I don't even have it as bad as some of my teammates, some of my coworkers who are just getting, to be very honest, abused. And yeah, so I just decided, you know what? I'm not in a good headspace for this. Probably going to try and find something else to talk about. So here I am. I posted on the social media today that I was going to put out a new episode. I meant to do it last night, well, yesterday, to try and get it out, get it uploaded last night to be out this morning and be like, surprise, motherfuckers. But I failed. It turns out when you're consistently working 60, 70 hours a week and you're traveling for that shit, your body tends to try and recuperate some of that sleep time that you missed out on. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, missed out on that a little bit. So that's what I did. So anyway, I'll be good if I don't have to go back to the Los Angeles area anytime in the near future. It tried to kill me twice. I got sick, horribly sick twice. The first time was a brutal sinus infection. And that was really bad. I got intimately familiar with the people at the San Pedro urgent care. They hooked me up with some really good antibiotics, which for whatever reason, those antibiotics make the skin on my feet slough off, which is fucking weird. That happened last year when I was in the hospital on some crazy ass antibiotics too. It's kind of cool, but also really gross. Yeah, and then this last time was strep throat, so that was fun. I don't know if I've ever had strep throat as an adult, maybe my early 20s, maybe. But I blame that on a combination of wearing masks, which, I've never been vocal about having to wear masks and whatever, and, they suck, obviously, but between that and the brutal fucking air quality of California and just California in general, pretty sure that's what caused strep, so... That's been a good time. Needless to say, I'm feeling much better. I can talk now, and that helps when you have an audio venue, such as a podcast or a radio show or a talk show, or if you're a phone sex operator, I'm not that, but if I was, having a voice to speak with would be kind of imperative to that for that particular performance. I'd need to be able to say things like, "Who's your daddy?" And then the ability to listen to hear them say, "Oh, you are." And I'd be like, "Yeah." And they'd be like, "Yeah." And I'd be like, "Yeah." And then it would just go back and forth from there. And I'd make, $3.99 an hour or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how phone sex operates. It's been a long time since I tried phone sex. The internet exists. So, yeah. That's my story about that. Anyway, again, many, many, many apologies for my absence. For those of you who do contribute to my cause via the listener support that you can do on anchor.fm, which I am forever thankful for. I'm really sorry that I have left you hanging, and I'll make it up to you somehow. I'll figure it out, but I'll just try not to fucking suck. And I'm recording this on Monday, and I'll try to get another one recorded before the end of the week for next week. So, no more delays. Hell no, we won't go. Again, I'm still busy. I'm just home now, so that helps. And I'm not hating my life with all of my being. And I have my cat here, and she's sleeping on the floor next to me because that's what you do when you're a cat. And that's where we are in the world. So, happy Monday. I hope your Monday was uneventful. And if it was eventful, hopefully it was a good eventful. Like, I went to bed kind of late last night. I went on a date with the girlfriend. That's right. James has a girlfriend. We're calling each other boyfriend, girlfriend. We haven't had that whole exclusivity talk, but we're exclusive as far as I know. Like, I'm exclusive, and I would assume she is. And if she's not, then, that'll come out eventually. But I'm pretty sure we're both exclusive because, she's cool. I'm pretty cool. Yeah, so it's been hard traveling as much as I have been with her being here because obviously, we want to see each other, and that makes things a challenge. But it's good when I get to come back and take a couple nights to recharge the batteries, as it were, and then, go hang out. So we actually went and saw, last Sunday, we went and saw Nobody in the theater, which Nobody was fucking great. That was such a fun movie. If you are a fan of action movies and you're a fan of subtle drama, or not drama, subtle comedy, I highly recommend Nobody. It's written by the same dude who wrote John Wick. It's produced by the same people who made John Wick. It is very similar to John Wick. In fact, I don't know what it is about the guy who wrote John Wick. He has a thing with the Russians. Like, the Russians, I don't know if he is Russian and he's just really anti-Russian gang life or what, but the Russians play a big part in his scripts, apparently. And that's no different in Nobody than from John Wick. The dialogue is much improved. I love John Wick. Love John Wick. All three of them. I think they're great movies, great action movies, very entertaining. The acting is kind of what you expect, but you're not going to see an action movie like those for the acting. Let's be honest, Keanu Reeves, as cool as a motherfucker as that guy is, not exactly an Oscar winner, and that's okay. Like, he doesn't need to be. He's still a cool motherfucker. I would happily hang out on a bus with him or on a subway, or, I would be his Uber driver. I would be his assistant, and I would get him whatever kind of random shit he asked for, even though I have a strong feeling he probably doesn't ask for a lot of crazy random shit, because I don't think he's one of those celebutantes that you often hear about. He's no Kardashian or any of those fucking crazy bastards. At least, that's what we've been led to believe, and I choose to believe that because, Saint Reeves, as I shall henceforth refer to him as, unless it comes out that he has literally a basement full of children, I'm going to be hard-pressed to believe he's at all a bad guy. No, Kitty, do not rub your face on the microphone. Anyway, The John Wick movies are great. The action is great. The combat scenes are fucking fantastic. The dialogue is mostly terrible. And that was something that I kind of expected with Nobody, but it really wasn't. It was, I think they put a little more thought into the dialogue. It wasn't cheesy, quite as cheesy, I should say, as in John Wick. It had its moments, obviously, but it wasn't as cheesy. It wasn't bad. The plot, I mean, you kind of get the idea about the plot to begin with, but I think, what's his face, the guy that from Better Call Saul, whose name totally fucking escapes me now. Naturally, I don't write any of this shit down before I start talking. I think he was a perfect casting choice. I like him in everything I've seen him in. He always plays some sort of attorney figure. He was in How I Met Your Mother for quite a few episodes. He was in, obviously, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I've seen him in something else, a couple other things, and he's always cool. He used to have his own show on HBO, because as you know, at the Alamo Drafthouse, they play kind of trailers and shit that are relevant to whatever their feature presentation is. And so we walked into the theater last weekend. They were actually playing stuff. It was, what did they call it? Mr. Show, I think was the name of it. I didn't look it up. I meant to. And I think he was the lead role. I couldn't tell. We only caught a couple minutes of it because we got there right before it started. But that was his show on HBO back in the late 90s, which I did not know. I didn't have cable back then. And if I did, I didn't have HBO. But anyway, I've always liked that guy. I've always thought he was a solid actor. Really good comedic delivery. Never really pictured him as much of an action kind of guy, but he's kind of a shorter dude, always kind of a solid built dude. But I'd seen training videos of him getting ready for this role just on YouTube and whatever, because they put that as promotional stuff, kind of like they did with Keanu Reeves with his firearms training, getting ready for John Wick. Not that he probably needed a shit ton of it, given all the firearms training he needed for The Matrix. So, I'm sure he's had quite a few rounds of the firearms training and could teach people pretty sufficiently on his own. Anyway, he was fucking awesome. The cast was great. The fight scenes were fantastic. Like, it was awesome. I will say the only character I didn't really care for was the RZA from Wu-Tang. I don't know. Everything I've ever seen him in, he's just kind of obnoxious. Like, he always plays the very similar character. And I don't know if that's just how he is or if that's just how he likes to play things, is how he would portray. He's got like a central character in his mind, but he was in a whole season of Californication as an actor. He was like some big superstar in Californication. And the character that he played in this was kind of similar to that in attitude, not necessarily in, background or anything, but kind of attitude and mentality and persona. And that was kind of obnoxious, but he wasn't bad. But Christopher Lloyd was awesome. It was good to see that he's still alive, because he's old as fuck. He's always looked like he's 100,000 years old, kind of like Morgan Freeman. So it was nice to see him, and he was funny as shit too. But Nobody, it's funny, it's entertaining. It's a good, fun, entertaining action movie, and it's brutal. Like, the fight scenes are brutal. Go see Nobody. So then last night, we went and saw Mortal Kombat. And I was really stoked for Mortal Kombat, only because I really liked the first one when it came out in the mid-90s. I was a big fan of the game, and, I'm a martial arts movie fan, and Mortal Kombat was cool. It was cheesy as fuck, the original, and, back then, CG was not all that great, except, for the people who had the budget and the patience to make it great, like Steven Spielberg. Looking at you, Jurassic Park, fantastic. But Mortal Kombat, it's a movie based on a video game. You should keep your expectations low. And so when they were remaking it, I was like, ooh, saw that trailer. And they had, fuck, I forgot his name. Dude from The Last Samurai. He's a fantastic Japanese actor. He was one of the coolest characters in The Last Samurai. And I've seen him in a couple other Japanese movies, and he's always a solid actor, and he's a great, great, great martial artist. And I'm totally fucking forgetting his name now. Hiroyuki Sanada. I can't remember. He ends up playing Scorpion. But in the trailer it had him, so I was like, ooh, shit, that's kind of a big deal. And it had the dude that played Eggs from True Blood, who I always liked him, mostly because I envisioned myself as a large, very, very in shape black man. And, he's even larger and more in shape in this than he was in True Blood, which is, that says something because he was large and in shape in True Blood. So anyway, the trailer for Mortal Kombat looked fucking great. And I was like, holy fuck, this is either going to be really, really fucking good or really, really fucking bad. And so, being that it's a movie off of a video game, I expected the fight scenes to be badass. I expected the CG to be much improved, and I expected the acting to be terrible for the most part. And it was pretty spot on. The CG, most of it, was really good, I will say, and spoiler alerts, Sub-Zero was fucking awesome. Acting-wise, not so much. But I think they blew their budget on the CG for everything Sub-Zero related, because some of the other CG they had was not so good. But overall, I liked it. It was entertaining. If you keep your expectations low and remember that you are seeing a movie based on a video game called Mortal Kombat, with characters with 4 arms and fucking just crazy, crazy shit. The highlight of the movie is fucking Kano. Just like in the first one, Kano was a fucking crazy asshole. And this one, he takes it up a few notches from the original. His dialogue was hysterical. Like, he was great. Fantastic. I need to Google that motherfucker and find him and probably watch anything else that guy's in, because his delivery was amazing. Like, if he's anything comedic delivery wise like he was as Kano in this, he's probably golden. Like, the guy was on point. Some of the casting choices I didn't really care for, but you do what you can. The guy they got playing Shang Tsung, didn't really care for him. I've seen him in other movies. I've never really liked him just in any of the characters he's been. Can't remember his name. And again, I don't write any of this shit down, so I apologize. But anyway, that's not why I even started talking about this. Saw Mortal Kombat. It wasn't bad. Like, I didn't hate it. A lot of people hated it. It was slow in parts and it's cheesy. I mean, just be real. Be real with yourself. You're looking at people, my friends, in their 30s and 40s, like, oh, fucking Mortal Kombat was terrible. What the fuck do you expect? Like, it's not meant to be a fucking Oscar winner for Best Actor. It would be weird if it was. In my brain, I hoped that the first 10 minutes, which HBO Max released, I guess like the first 7 minutes, several days before it actually came out. I didn't watch it. I don't want to spoil it for myself, but if the rest of the movie was anything like the first 7 to 10 minutes of the movie, that would have been cool, because it would have been a lot of like an origin story, and it would have been not so CG crazy, and with all the nonsensical characters that exist in the game. But it was good. Like, it was entertaining. And if you're a fan of the games as they've progressed over time, with the more modern games having all the backstories and all the other shit, I never paid attention to the web series that was on the internet at some point, like YouTube or whatever. Never paid attention to any of that shit, and I didn't play all the games. But I know some of the stories, and the whole Scorpion Sub-Zero story was cool. The Sonya Blade Jack story was cool. There was a lot of Easter eggs in the movie, things that they point to in this movie, that point to specific things in the games that I thought was awesome. They did a really, really, really good job of keeping it true to the storyline of the games as a whole. And I thought that was cool, and they did a fantastic job with that. And acting aside, like, the fight scenes were, for the most part, pretty badass. The CG for the people wasn't terrible. Like, some movies where they do fight scenes and they CG the fighters themselves, it's super obvious. There were a couple things, people flying through the air here and there, as you do in a fight. It wasn't too ugly looking, but a lot of the close quarters stuff and the hand-to-hand, I mean, that was legit. They trained the shit out of those fighters, and I think they used a lot of real fighters. The main character, guy who played Cole, I think he's an actual fighter. I meant to look him up, and I fucking failed because I'm terrible at this. But I mean, he couldn't act for shit, but he could do some fight choreography. That's for sure. The dude that played Sub-Zero, he was badass. He was super dope, and they definitely blew the budget on CG for his shit. His ice abilities were, I mean, if you didn't know that it was CG, you would wonder how the fuck they got it to look that good. Like it was really, really good for him. But anyway, that's Mortal Kombat. Anyway, back to the why I slept this morning. That was 21 minutes to get to, I didn't sleep this morning or sleep last night because I was going to wake up early and get this recorded this morning and maybe even posted this morning. But no, I fucking suck because I woke up for 2 fucking hours in the middle of the night. 3:30 this morning, I woke up and could not fall asleep for 2 hours. And I don't like being awake that early unless, somebody's bringing me, if I get a good breakfast or something, or if I get to go on an adventure or for sex or, breakfast, which I said, but, that could be tied to sex. That's fine too. That didn't happen. It was just me in bed by myself and the cat. And it was sad. Anyway, so then I pushed back my alarm because I was like, I'm awake for 2 hours. Might as well push my alarm back and I'll record later after work. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, thanks for sticking through with me through my movie reviews. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a commercial break. So you've been listening to me ramble on for quite some time about this, that, and the other. So allow me to ramble on briefly about how I operate this podcast. There's lots of options for how you want to post and host your podcast and put it out into the world. I did a lot of research on mine, and for me, I decided to go with Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's free. That was a big selling point to me. Free is good. I like free. There's also tools for creation to help you record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer or your tablet or whatever you're using. I find that to be effective. So we got free, we got recording and editing, both big deals because they are. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, it could be heard on Apple Podcasts, it could be heard on Google Podcasts, and many, many more. That is a huge time saver because I don't have to go to each of those things to upload. So I like that distribution right then and there. And again, it's free. You can make money from your podcast if you're into that kind of thing with no minimum listenership. That could be cool. I think you should try it. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So if you've been on the fence about making a podcast and the only thing holding you back is how you want to host it or create it or whatever, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's worth it. So I really do appreciate everybody being patient with me in my absence and hopefully not being terribly upset that I've been gone. I know hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of you listen to this podcast every week. And a lot of your daily livelihood or outlook on life, I should say, depends on whether or not I put out an episode. And if in that episode I say things like titties or, anything crazy like that. And again, I'm sorry for my absence. So thanks for sticking with me. And thanks for sticking with me for the first 20 minutes of the episode so far, because that was some rambly ass bullshit. I am no Siskel nor Ebert. And I give both of those movies some thumbs, most of those thumbs go to nobody. Nobody deserves all the thumbs. Mortal Kombat, maybe I lost a thumb in a knife fight. Worth a watch. If you have HBO Max, I have HBO Max. I went and saw it in a theater. I paid money to go see it at the Alamo Drafthouse. And that's because it was date night with the girlfriend. And seeing movies in theaters is something I love to do. And I haven't seen movies in theaters for over a year up until last weekend when we went and saw Nobody. So if you have HBO Max already, just watch it there. Granted, in the theater, you get the sound system, but, and the theater experience, and possibly COVID. So whatever. Pick your poison. I don't care what you do. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Also, if you can find it somewhere, watch Big Trouble in Little China, because that's just a great movie. And that came up in conversation at practice yesterday, and I always promote Big Trouble in Little China because Jack Burton is the man, and Lopan was kind of an asshole, and who doesn't love a Chinese girl with green eyes? And as I always try to do, I always try to keep these fucking episodes short, and it never really happens. So here we are, approaching the 25-minute mark, and I posted again on the social media that I was going to be posting this tonight. It is now 10 after 7 o'clock p.m. in the post-meridian, and it's going to take me a little while to edit this up because, you know, I don't edit everything out. I probably should. I don't. I also need to eat something. I mean, I don't need to eat something. Good news, though. Good news, folks. I'm down, if my scale is to be trusted at home, my home scale, comparing it to the scale at Kaiser from the end of January or beginning of February or whenever the fuck it was when I went in for my first weigh-in, I'm down 31 pounds. If I carry the 31 pounds since the end of January. And I don't know that I trust my scale, but that's what it's telling me, so I'm just going to take it. And that's cool. Makes me feel a little bit better about my life. So, fun for me. Woo, woo. I'm going to celebrate by ordering and eating a whole pizza. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that again. And yeah, I said again, because that's kind of what I did Friday, although I didn't eat the whole thing. I saved that for a couple of days. So, it's called rationing, people. Look it up. It's like meal prep. Sort of, except I just prepared my debit card. I also had a salad, and I ate the whole salad on Friday. So, I originally had not planned on talking about really anything else. I was going to talk about the movies. I was going to mention the new Cannibal Corpse album, because that came out last week before. And I listened to it a couple plays through on Spotify, and I dig it. It's a little bit different than their older stuff, or even their more recent stuff, just because I think Eric Rutan had more of a writing influence, which is cool, because I could tell that he had a more heavy writing influence on it, which I like. And I love Hate Eternal, and He's the man for Hate Eternal, and he's produced 5 of their albums. I think that includes this last one. I tried to go buy it the other day, and Angelo's didn't have it, and that made me sad, so whatever. But anyway, Facebook being handy for pretty much very few things these days, other than keeping in contact with your friends who you don't really talk to all that often, or even your close friends who, just because life is the way it is, and they have kids and they're busy with kids, or maybe they live on other sides of the planet or whatever, will remind you about friends who have birthdays. And today is my friend Rod Brown. It's his birthday. He is, I'm not going to say how old he is. He's older than me by a few years. But anyway, today's his birthday, so I wished him a happy birthday on the Facebook. And he said, "Hey, man, thanks." And then he said, "I'm still waiting on a new podcast episode." And I said, "Fuck yeah, man. I'm about to record it in 5 minutes." And then he said something inappropriate, saying that if I drop his name, he'll give me a kiss the next time he sees me. And I had already planned on dropping his name because he was excited. He is an excited, avid listener to this podcast. And I had no intention of using a new episode for sexual favors of any kind from anybody, including a guy, because, hey man, I got a girlfriend. She's a good kisser. But here we are. So Rod, I'm not vaccinated yet. If you are, it's on. Just kidding. Anyway, but happy birthday, Rod. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, you message me from time to time on the Instagram or Facebook. I don't remember exactly how we do it. Some sort of messaging. And I truly, truly appreciate it. So Keep it real, and I hope your birthday was good. I hope you were able to go do something that didn't suck. I know it's a Monday in the time of cholera or COVID or whatever. So I hope your birthday was good. Hope it was swell. And I just hope it didn't suck, really. Like, it's hard to come by a birthday that doesn't suck over the last year or so. I know last year's birthday for me sucked, but didn't suck that bad. I got the drain in my back taken out, and I was able to take a shower, albeit with a very large plastic glove over my entire left arm. And I stood in the shower for a solid hour because I hadn't been able to take a shower in 6 weeks, and that was a beautiful thing. But other than that, my birthday really blew last year. This year, my birthday was while I was suffering in LA, and that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Spent it with some coworkers who I like, so that was okay, but not fantastic. And I think I was sick, so that wasn't awesome either, but, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, for people who might not know, which is probably most of you, like I said, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who listen to this every week. Well, maybe not the last few weeks, but every week when I have an episode. Rod is a drummer. I don't know how often he plays now, at least actively in a band or anything, but back in the day, and this is how we met, Rod was the drummer for a little band in Denver called Throat Culture. And they were kind of a gothic industrial metal band. They were actually one of the first local bands I ever had the pleasure of seeing. When my first band, Misanthrope, was just kind of getting our feet wet, kind of getting out there, or at least starting to look into playing. I went to a show at the Ogden Theater, and it was my first all-local show. I'd been to a couple of shows, bigger shows like Fear Factory and stuff like that, and if they had local openers, I wasn't aware of it at the time. But this show at the Ogden Theater was called the Back to School Show, Back to School 2 or Back to School Show, and I want to say it was 99 or 2000. I can't remember exactly which year it was. I want to say it was 2000. And Throat Culture was headlining, but I can't remember if they were Throat Culture at the time or they were just changing their name to Throat Cult. They eventually changed the name to Throat Cult. They might have still been Throat Culture. I can't remember though. This is a long fucking time ago. And they were headlining and being underage, so it must have been, well, it had to be 99, 2000. One of those fucking years. I was under 21. I was up in the balcony and they played, and it was they were, from the bands that did play, from what I could remember, I can't remember all the rest of the bands, they were really the only ones that stuck out to me. They were the most solid that I could tell. They had the most dedicated followers just watching the crowd that was there. And again, it was a solid local show. I don't remember how many bands played, but they were the most established probably. And Rod was their drummer. And that continued for a couple more years, I think. And then after they changed the name to Throat Cult, there were some other changes that happened, membership changes and whatever. And Throat Cult continued. Their sound changed, evolved, and eventually becoming a kind of a blackened death metal band, more black metal-y. And then eventually they broke up. But was a big fan of theirs through that whole transition. Once I discovered them, once I found out about them, up until they changed names, changed styles, and whatever. And I want to say they got signed to Crash Music and then broke up, which seemed to be a thing with bands here. A couple other bands, I think, did that exact same thing. Signed to Crash, Pavement Records for distribution deals, and then basically immediately broke up. So that's good times. But anyway, Rod was their drummer, and I don't know if it was his publication or not, but there also used to be a scene magazine called Throat Culture Magazine. And I need to look at it because my drummer actually has several issues of that in his basement, right on top of some unmentionable magazines that I won't talk about. But let's just say there's pictures of boobs on them. So I saw those first. Anyway, I'm going to have to read one. I think that the issue that I saw had God Forbid on the cover. Or maybe it was Sepultura. I can't fucking remember. I was probably more focused on the boobs of the other magazine. That happens. I'm an easily influenced man when it comes to all things female form related, I guess you could say. I'm easy. Just putting it out there. So that's how Rod and I know each other, and we see each other at shows, especially the bigger shows. Neither of us really get out all that often, especially these days. Nobody fucking gets out all that. There's nothing to get out to. So I think the last time we saw each other was maybe at Slayer for their farewell tour. Year before last, 2019, I think it was. That was a fun show. Lots of people. That's the good thing about the big shows is you see a lot of the people you haven't seen in a few years. Brings out all the metalheads that have gone into hiding, into hibernation. So, everybody's got families and priorities and all that other bullshit that interferes with your ability to go get drunk at a show. So, it was good to see him. So, happy birthday, Rod. Thanks for listening. I really, really do appreciate you. So, tell your friends. Or don't. Do whatever you want. Anyway, my headphones keep falling off my head, which I usually don't even wear them while I'm recording, so I don't know why I am right now. But I am, and it's now about 20 after 7, and I've run out of things to talk about. I initially was going to get on here and bitch about Samsung and what I would call questionable business practice, but I'm just going to suppress my rage a little bit and I'll just kind of eat those emotions for a little bit and not focus on it. And maybe eventually I'll bring it up, but I guess I just had a bad experience and I'm out a couple extra $100 than I had planned on being, but whatever, I still got a killer fucking deal. So that's my story for now. I hope you guys are doing well. It's springtime. The weather the last 2 days was fantastic. I think it's supposed to fucking snow here again tomorrow, which is stupid, but it's probably not going to be very much. I haven't looked. I am going to drink a whole bunch of water and figure out what the fuck I'm going to eat for dinner and then edit this thing. Get it posted because I said it'll be live at 9 o'clock. That's an hour and 38 minutes. And it won't take me that long to do that, but it might take me almost that long to think about what I'm going to title this. I might title it The Female Form and How I'm a Fan, or Nipples and Why They Affect My Brain, or something about buttholes. I don't know. There's so many options to go with. I don't put a lot of thought into these things, as you probably have figured out. So I appreciate all of you for listening. If you share this shit, if you give it a thumbs up, if you do anything that says yay for me whenever I post about this or share this thing or whatever, I really, really do appreciate you. Love you all. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I will talk to you next week. I promise. Unless I die. Then I'll haunt you. But no podcast. Anyway, goodbye.